I'm going to go live, babe. Oh, says you're live. Anyway, I'll start at 7. Not even sure if anybody's going to be on, but that's okay, because if there isn't, then I can get through it quicker in the response to, oh, hey, Joe, how's it going? Kia ora, bro. Good. Here I was just thinking, yep, nobody will be on. I'll be able to just talk to myself and get through the responses to things that have come through. Yeah, going awesome, bro. Thank you. Tēnā koe to you too, Browzilla. Thanks for joining, guys. Oh, we are watching, bro. Kia ora, Barry Harris. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. All right, so we still got, looks like 6:59. I'll start at 7 anyway. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. All right, far out, I'll say, man. It's cool. Lots of stuff coming into the inbox and stuff in the comments and that. But man, some sad stuff, eh? Some heavy stuff. Some good stuff as well. But yeah. Anyway, I'll try and get through. I added some stuff in the comments description of this live. Just some headings of things that came through. People wanted me to revisit the Rugby Championship again, where we got a hiding. Hopefully we won't need to spend too long on there. 7 o'clock, I'm going to start now. Hey, kia ora, g'day, welcome back, everybody. So yeah, just doing a live from home. I've had a few messages, emails, comments and stuff come through. And so I thought, oh, well, I'll try and easier to just try and make use of this live thing till I get better at it and address them there rather than doing separate individual ones. So I don't know how long it'll be, but I'll try and get through the stuff that I've got on here anyway. The notes wise, yeah, Rugby Championship. So they had some people asking if I had seen John Kerwin's short. I think he was doing it to Victor Matfield. I did see part of that. He was very confident where he said the All Blacks by 10. And then I've seen the follow-up since. So, yeah, he had to eat that humble pie well. I think we all did. I was confident, but I thought it would be a close match. But, man, the Springboks were just outstanding. Hey, they just smashed us across the park. What do we got? Good day to you, sir. Kia ora, Rob. Good to see you, bro. Thank you. Things around my thoughts on the shift from the Springboks and innovation. Man, I'm no expert. I just enjoy watching the sport, I'll be honest. And I just like supporting the teams that I want to win. I'm not a technical analysis person, so I won't get into that. People are asking me around I was like, mate, you got the experts on the panel that do those rugby sports shows that talk about the what could have been done better. So we'll leave it to those fellas. There is one guy, shout out, James Gregg. That fella, man, he's written a couple of or not a couple, more than a couple of really cool comments in regards to his take on the All Blacks team and things that he would do. I've tried to whisper in his ear through comments to he should start a channel and do his own analysis and stuff. He's probably far better to look at and listen to and read his comments than any of mine. What else we got? So that's yeah, I don't have any technical analysis on the game. I just enjoy watching rugby. Used to enjoy playing it where I could. Wasn't that great at it, but enjoy it nonetheless. World Cup preparation versus the pressure. Oh yeah, this was an interesting comment though. What were my thoughts around? Seems to be, and I don't know. Erasmus, the box coach, and his focus on preparing for the next World Cup to win the next World Cup. Imagine that there'd be back to back Rugby World Cup winners if they do it. They at least have the opportunity to do it anyway after going back to back in the last Rugby World Cup. So the preparation aspect and seems to be the Springboks focus on the next World Cup versus the All Blacks and the pressure that they have and the expectation to win every game, and trying to get the men for the game, the 23, the squad of 23 right for the game. I think Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're still preparing for the next World Cup as well, trying to develop and build depth and stuff in their team across all the positions, whatever that looks like for them. But again, those guys know what they're doing, eh? I don't think there's anything wrong with having an expectation to win every game, just as long as the New Zealand public can um, eat that humble pie and just be a bit, I suppose, a bit more mindful of the comments and stuff that are made after, and not get all upset and have a big sook and throw all the toys out the cot when the All Blacks do lose, whether it be pre-World Cup or during the World Cup. So anyway, that's enough on that one. I'm going to leave that one there in terms of the Rugby Championship, because it still hurts seeing the All Blacks get defeated, destroyed like that by 33 points. You don't see that very often. It reminded me of, I forget when it was, when I think the Springboks came to NZ. They might have been playing in the South Island, and I think there was a game there where the final score was 52-0 to the All Blacks. That's going back a while now. I can't remember exactly how long ago, but that feeling felt euphoric at the time for me, and I'm sure it feels euphoric for the Springbok South African supporters after their massive win on the weekend. So yeah, anyway, feel free, anybody that had any comments to, or your thoughts, feel free to whack them in that chat if you want to. You don't have to. I'm just using this as an opportunity more so to just brain dump whatever's in my head after the comments that came through. Tom Phillips, man, yeah, a lot of stuff in there. I'm not going to go through and read. There's a handful of people in particular that have got some very strong thoughts on that, but also I think the one that likes to write in capitals, they also, I read one of the messages where it seems like they've not, I don't want to say caught themselves, but just identified how much it was affecting that person, whoever that person is. I think it was Mrs. Jams or something like that. Yeah, a lot of passion, let's say, in those comments and stuff that are in there, in and around the situation with Tom Phillips. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't think so anyway. But yeah, there's some strong thoughts and stuff in there. Hang on, let's just. What do you think about those drones flying into Poland in the past few days? Russia testing the NATO response. Holy heck! I'll be honest, Browzilla, I haven't seen that one. But there is something else on the drones which I had later on under other. But drones flying into Poland in the last few days, I'll have a look at that. Haven't Russia testing the NATO response, could well be. Like, I have got some stuff on the China positioning and the World War III stuff and preparations, and there's some comments from people that believe that we're in World War III now. It's just not like an open declaration with everything sort of happening in and around and in behind the scenes. Unarmed drones to note. Roger that. Got you, Browzilla. Thanks for that. Yeah, probably linked to maybe some of the stuff that I'll talk about under the other, but I don't know specifically around that aspect. But yeah, could be a whole bunch of those things. Back to the Tom Phillips and some of the passionate comments and stuff that are coming there. Plenty of stuff going on. I've watched some of the other articles. I haven't done reactions to those. I've just been watching them just for my own curiosity, where people have, or the media guys, gone into the local area. He looked to try to talk to one of Tom's close mates, just got told the F off, and then tried to speak to, I think, Tom's parents, but wasn't allowed. Spoke with a few locals who were very supportive in that Marokopa area, who were very supportive of Tom, saying that they probably would help him. Then there was also some people in that same area just completely against it as well, which was interesting, but not surprising at the same time. Likely would have. Oh yeah, so there were some comments from people, some good ones. I mean, I don't know, but I would suspect that he likely wouldn't have lost full custody of his children. He might not have had the daily access to them that he might have wanted, that he might have been accustomed to. But I'm sure the custody side of things, because I know I have a bit of an understanding about that, not of his case, but of other ones, whereby I was fortunate to work at a male reintegration service where men have been in and out of prison for long periods of time. Worked with, I was privileged to work with guys that had served life sentences for murder, manslaughter, guys that have served 10-year, 11-year, 5-year, 7-year, 2-year sentences, everything in between, male assaults, female, drug and alcohol abuses, a combination of those, gang related, etc., etc. So, and a lot of those with families and with children. And a lot of the things that worked out, even when they got released on probation with their Rolexes, we were calling them, their ankle bracelets, their electronic monitoring, they're still able to work towards having an opportunity to have access to their children, whether it was supervised visits to start off with and then progressing towards having unsupervised visits. So I don't know what Tom and his wife or ex-wife situation was with regards to the custody battles or battle over the children, other than the bits and pieces that I've heard on the news, but I haven't done a deep dive into that. But he likely would have still been able to have access to them. But just seems like, without knowing what was going on in his head, seems like that may not have been enough. Maybe he was worried about certain charges and stuff that had been laid against him, whereby he was supposed to front up to court but didn't. Who knows, man? The sad thing is we'll never hear his side of the story. And yeah, it's just a tragic outcome for everybody, especially the children, which leads me on to, geez, this other part in here. There's been a few comments in here around the children saying, hey, Joe, you mentioned there's 3 children. Some people have said there's actually 4 children involved. Somebody put a comment in there saying that, and again, they said that they didn't know, but that they had heard. How they heard, I don't know. That the oldest child, who I think was 12, but now these days 12, maybe 13, I don't know, had a child or was having a child, or who knows. And I was just like, man, straight away I was thinking, not very good things, and I hope that that's not what the case is, but I guess time will tell. So I don't want to go speculating anymore on that, other than the Tom Phillips stuff. Yeah, it sucks, man. In regards to what's happened, or around a lot of people against the police for whatever reason, man, I think, yeah, people there's a few seem like very calm, level-headed people as well, probably to just sort of words to the effect of calming the farm until the investigation comes out. The IPCA, I think I still haven't even looked that up, but I think it's independent police something. And they're there to do an investigation in regards to what's happened and the tragic outcome with that. So yeah, Tom Phillips saga continues, which is sad. There were a few people that mentioned, so moving on from Tom. Sorry, I wish it didn't go down like that. Sad loss, and I'm glad the cop didn't die. Yeah, and the kids are okay. 100%. Yeah, I agree. Dunnage 6-6. Yeah, hopefully we'll hear more soon. It would be great if there were body cameras worn by the police, but I understand the costs and all that sort of stuff involved, and maybe that's just not part of what happens at the moment. There's definitely body-worn cameras worn in the corrections facilities. But yeah, those, not the be-all and end-all, but may be helpful if they were worn or used in this case. Hey, Scott and Charles, appreciate you, bro. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, so I'll leave the Tom Phillips one there. Heavy stuff all around, and just hope those children, the families, the families of the cop, and the cop that had to, unfortunately, sounds like, take the life of Tom Phillips as well. Man, I hope they get all the support that they need just to help them with whatever it is that they maybe go through, and or anybody else that might be affected in that area. Oh man, yeah, this leads on to another one where I'm definitely no expert about, and that's Charlie Kirk. There have been some people that have sent through in the comments and messages, it'd be cool to, not so much cool, it'd be nice to hear my thoughts, they've said, on the Charlie Kirk murder, assassination. I think I've spoken a little bit about, I'm pretty sure I remember speaking about it briefly on when I did a live on a pack march that I did recently on the downhill part, because then I could breathe and talk and still move rather than trying to do that on the uphill. But yeah, it just amazes me how, just looking at what I put down here and some of my notes with regards to my thoughts on it. Again, another sad one. Amazes me how this guy would look to put himself out there, from what I could see initially from some of the clips that I've seen, just on the side of a street in busy public areas, then going into education facilities, highly sort of prestigious ones too, from what I understand, or just universities in general. or education places in general, to talk about gender, to talk about, I think, abortion, equality, Christian beliefs versus other beliefs, etc., weapons, guns, all that sort of thing. I think he even had a spiel or a korero, a chat, to talk when he went onto a podcast talking about stuff happening or that happened, that has happened, or that was happening in Israel. Is some just, I suppose, as he describes it, he goes out and looks to have challenging conversations with people that may have very different views and opinions to his own, and trying to, one of the clips that I remember him seeing, and I'm stuffing up all the words that he used, but he said it was about coming together. There was a lady that was asking him, why do you do this? She's never seen anything like it before. And at that time, he was just sitting, what appeared to be sitting on the side of a street with a little table, and he must have had a sign. I didn't read what the sign, or I didn't see what the sign said. But his words were to the effect of, it's about going out, putting himself out there, having challenging conversations in a respectful manner as well as they can, and looking to be challenged, see where there may be points of difference, or see where there may be points of mutual agreement or whatever, to try to get a better understanding of the sides. And when they talk about the left and the liberals and all that sort of stuff, far out, I don't follow that side of politics or anything like that, if that even is the thing in terms of politics, the conservatives and liberals and lefts and all that sort of stuff. But I don't think there's any valid reason, to take somebody's life because you don't like what they have to say. There's plenty of people out there who you may not like what they have to say. And the fact that he was murdered, assassinated, whatever you want to call it for it, is really, really poor. On the back end of that, some other notes. Oh, sorry. Yeah, agreed, bro. Yep, no one deserves that for sharing their beliefs. Cheer, brother, check on your life. Cheers. James, good to see you. I mentioned you earlier, reference to rugby stuff, bro. If you think you should definitely do your own little thing, bro, I'll definitely follow. Anthony Moss. Mose M. Lomia. Hello. David the Mod. I didn't like Charlie Kirk, I think is what you mean, and his philosophy, politics. But when I saw the video of him being shot, I was saddened. Yeah, and I think that's a cool point, David. And I think that's why he was going out there. He knew, I think he clearly knew and felt and heard and saw firsthand that there were going to be hundreds, thousands, maybe millions of people that aren't going to agree with him. And it's cool that you can mention that as well. I don't know a lot about him. There's some stuff that I liked. There's some other stuff that I was like, oh, heck, I don't know about that. There was one whereby, again, it was just a short clip, and I'm having, or as far as research goes, if I was to dig more into it, I'd probably find more if I really wanted to research. And that was something that Charlie Kirk, from what I saw, really encouraged. He was in a university, I think Oxford University, debating, speaking with people there, where they'd come up to the stand and then ask a question, he'd go back and forth. And he extended an invitation for people to do their research and look into what the conservatives believe. And it seems like he's done similar things with regards to what the liberals believe, etc. But coming together and having that conversation and trying to, I don't know what the maybe it's to try to sway and convince people. But again, coming back to your point, clearly I think he knew that there were going to be lots and lots of people that didn't agree with him. And to the point that I was saying, there was a clip that I saw when he mentioned, and I shared it with my wife, and I was like, holy heck, this guy, there's something about a colored person, a black person at the time that he was talking about having if he said if he was going to be hopping on a plane and he saw a person of color or a black person that was the pilot, all I saw of this short clip, and it could have been cherry picked and just cut and edited there without giving the rest of the context, because there was no other context. And all I hear him say is, I'm going to be thinking, I hope that pilot is qualified. And I was thinking, far out, and if I was to just make a judgment of Charlie Kirk, who I don't know, and I don't have a full understanding of his beliefs, anybody could potentially be forgiven without doing some research or looking into things more, if there was more to that context, and thinking that, man, this guy's out the gate with some of the stuff that he's saying. That's just my take anyway, but I do understand that was only a small snippet of a clip, and I haven't gone to have a look a little bit more. I was just sharing that as maybe an example of some of the stuff that gets shared, maybe from both sides, whether they're conservative, whether you're from the left or liberals, whatever. So yeah, pretty sad though. I don't think anybody deserves that. And you know, it would have been nice if the person had the courage to come to the microphone and have a chat with them instead, and maybe try to get their points across. You lost the debate if you resort to violence. Very true words. Yeah, that's a cool point. Very true words. All right, I think I've just discovered Taoism and Zen Buddhism. Okay, NZ drunk, it says here. Okay, hopefully that's going well for you, bro. I don't know anything about those. Of course, if you and share your political beliefs, of course, there's going to be some controversy. Yeah, and I think I think that's okay. Controversy, having differences of opinion, and just trying to come together in a way to try to talk those things out. Be great if our leaders that are voted in could achieve that, and even then, when we vote people in, they still haven't figured it out. We still end up going to war and bad things happening all around. So anyway, that's a whole different topic. But Charlie Kirk, yeah, some of I guess real basic understanding. He had a Christian belief, so he believes in God. From what I understand, he believed, and I heard him say he believes that marriage is between one man, one woman. I'd say I agree with that. What else did he have to say? Oh, he believed that there's only two genders, male and female. Again, I'm aligned with that. If people want to identify however they want to identify, that's cool. I'll still respect them and have no issue. I can work with them. I can sit and talk with them. I can share time and space with them. Doesn't mean I have to believe what or agree with how they choose to live their life or identify. But yeah, again, I don't think that's worth taking a more cowardly approach and murdering somebody because you don't like what they have to say. Anyway, very, very sad all round. I'm no expert. I've seen a whole bunch of other things since then. People talking about that he had a plate on underneath and that the bullet may have ricocheted off and up into his neck. And then no, they can see a nipple through his t-shirt, so he didn't have a plate on. It's like, oh man. People with probably far more shooting, not probably, more than likely, far more shooting experience than me, but talking about shooting down and on angles, doesn't look to be much of an angle with regards to that. I've had some experience of shooting, albeit a few years ago now, a number of years ago now, and I've probably forgotten a heck of a lot, but I wouldn't have considered that elevation of where he was at towards the target that he sadly where he shot Charlie Kirk to be enough to have enough of an impact to cause some concerns for a person, even with a basic level of shooting, if that makes sense. But there's a few people out there that are sharpshooters, snipers, have far more in-depth experience than me that seem like they've shared similar thoughts, and then also given their expert take in terms of their experience with regards to that and the use of the weapons and the type of weapon that was used. The investigation has thrown up a bunch of things as well, as I've been having a look at little snippets and clips here and there. Not reacting, haven't done any videos reacting to them, just more for my own information, just having a look and seeing what is out there and what's been shared. Some of the comments from the authorities and the FBI and the investigation and what they're finding, messages written on bullet casings and stuff like that. Some information about, I think I've seen the clip of him jumping off the building, running away across a car park. Looks like he's got a bag on. Doesn't look like he's carrying a weapon unless it's broken down inside the backpack. Messages on Discord to a friend, the father turning their son in, which I think is awesome. If that's true, the father's been involved, convincing his son to turn himself in, and maybe that's what's led to the son turning himself in. That's awesome if the dad has done that. I can't imagine how hard and how heavy that would be. Some people might say, oh, he's a bad father, shouldn't have done that, should have looked after your son, your child in that case. Nah, I think the father's done the right thing. As hard as it would be for any parent, as a parent, yeah, I couldn't imagine any of our children doing something like that. But I know if one of them did and I found out about it, like I'm doing my best to drag them into where they need to go to front up for what they've done. It's just yeah, but touch wood, nothing like that ever happens, but who knows, some other stuff that we'll get into. But and people celebrating, Charlie Kirk, rest in peace, murder, assassination, making t-shirts out of it. I mean, I've just seen little clips of those where people have talked about people making T-shirts, images of what appears to be Charlie Kirk, and then saying "protect your neck" and all that sort of stuff. Crazy, man. Yeah, pretty poor way to go about that. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say on that other than it's just pretty poor and disgusting, really. That's my take on that. Oh, sorry, heck, there's been... yeah, but I think the deceased could have been more tactful and tactical. Bob Filtration, hello, brother Joe. Hope you're well. Yeah, I'm good, bro. Thanks for joining any of those that are on here. Appreciate you making some time. I didn't have a time frame in mind. I was just going to roll through these things that I've got. Man, on the back of that, so sort of, yeah, Tom Phillips, then Charlie Kirk. I've just shared my jumbled thoughts on. And then next, the Ukrainian woman that was stabbed, murdered on a train by a person of color. Seems to be the way that people are needing to be careful around what they're saying, which again is sad. It's a black person, white person, brown person, whatever. I personally don't care. It might take a coward and an idiot who, I don't know what's wrong. There's reports about him being not mentally well and whatever, and that may be the case. Nonetheless, there's a lot to that based on the clip that I've seen. I watched a clip of... I haven't watched it in its entirety, but I've watched it more for the footage and then just to hear some of the thoughts. She's quite a well-known, got her own channel, Megan Kelly, American lady who makes some good points in terms of her korero, or her words, her talk and that on there as she's showing that clip. But man, what was really sad about that, obviously aside from the young lady losing her life, and it equally sad, was that nobody doing anything. Just the notes that I've got here, like people just... I get it. It was quick. It was fast. And when you watch that video clip, man, 3, 4 real quick, sharp strikes to in and around the neck area. What appears to be, looks like the neck area, upper body, close to the face and that anyway. And even when he then stands up and walks over to the door, waiting, there's people there in that video clip that saw just what happened. One guy even stands up to like move, and he just takes a step back. It looks like another person sitting across from the young lady from the Ukraine. Nobody does anything. Like even when she's looking up, when she is still seems to be conscious and looking, and when that guy walks away, nobody even asks to see if she's okay. Yeah, I don't know. Seems like that's the type of world that we live in. That people don't, males in particular, seeing a female seemingly getting, even if she was just getting slapped around, the fact that she was being stabbed in her neck and nobody does anything is for several minutes. Even once she slumps over, appears to go unconscious, falls down in behind that barrier just by the doors where that guy goes down, and you see some blood dripping there from his knife initially. And even then, as you see the blood pooling down and just building up, there's one guy that comes in later, and then I think somebody else that come in after to try to help. By then, she's probably well and truly gone, I would imagine. I don't know. But just how long that took before anybody did anything. Nobody did anything. And it's sad that's, the sort of probably that could happen here in New Zealand. We're not immune to it. Stuff like that happening. But just devastating to see something like that. And I hope it's not true. I've seen some other clips. Again, pinch of salt, bloody media could be showing whatever they want with regards to the comments and stuff that they're showing. But one of the clips that I saw said that he was released on bail or whatever, and just needs to make sure that he shows up for his court hearing. I was thinking, surely that's not true. Like, if anybody knows, let me know. But I don't think... I'd like to think that the law is smarter than that. It wouldn't have... Clearly before, whilst he's been held, they likely would have known that she's passed away long before it's gotten to the point of, oh yeah, we'll let you go, just make sure you show up to court on this day and time. Surely that didn't happen. So when I saw that, I was thinking I ended up clicking off that particular video clip because I wasn't sure if what I was reading was true or just made up, maybe AI. So anyway, that's devastating. That's sad. What did it, when I mentioned about NZ, I think a few years ago when we were still living up in Auckland at the time before we came down here, there was a place where I was working at a place, like a service manager for an intellectual disabilities service called Hohepa, up in Auckland, West Auckland, out West Auckland ways. There was a supermarket stabbing that took place. One of our workers that was in the supermarket there at that time, I believe, from memory. So that sort of stuff can happen anywhere, even in a place as small and as Aotearoa, New Zealand. But it just, when that happened, it gave us time to have a sit-down chat with our kids and just have a bit of a reminder to them to try to be aware of their surroundings. What this has just triggered again is another opportunity for my wife and I to have a chat with our kids that are at home, and when we see our ones that aren't at home, our older ones, to just remind them to be mindful of their surroundings and where they are. Oh, sorry. Yeah, such a rough visual. 100% mix-up working. Yep. That said, I think the reaction in Australia or New Zealand would be quicker. I'd like to, man, Jason C, I'd like to think so. I don't know, way. Like, I truly hope so. But it just, the coming back to the sort of the situational awareness thing and the spiel with our kids and for ourselves too. Like we're in the generation, where we're just on the device, and you see her walk in, sits down, and she's just minding her own business, headphones in, just like any other day or nights, whatever it might have been for any one of us, you, me, people that are closest to us, whether you use public transport to travel to and from work, whether you use public transport just to get around, whether it's not for work or not. It's tragic, man, in terms of what's happened. A cowardly act, a blinking gutless, disgusting act by the person that's done that. Again, if they've got mental disabilities or schizophrenia, was another comment that I think I'd seen pop up on a video. I just don't understand how or why there's not a carer or a person with if they're released and allowed to live out in society and traveling around. I don't get it, don't understand it. But being aware of our surroundings and the situation. What did I talk about? That was one of the questions that I got asked with regards to our kids. Some of the things we speak about with them, and when our boys were at home, if we were going to the shop, the boys always had to go in with their sister or sisters if they were going into the shop, to not leave them by themselves. As time goes on and as we become a bit more comfortable, our girls go into the shop by themselves, so that we sort of elevated our situational awareness as a family, just us as a family. And then over time, as we become more comfortable and things sort of fall by the wayside, it's like, go on, go to the shop, go get this, or go and get some milk, get some bread, get some chocolate, get some ice cream, whatever. And they're on their own, hands are full. So this has just been like another reminder. That was on the back end of that supermarket one that took place up in Auckland a few years ago. I can't remember the exact supermarket where it happened or the details, but it was up in Auckland a few years ago, stabbings and stuff there. You hear about stabbings happening at bus stops. I think it might have been in the UK or in America. That stuff could happen here. And maybe it has happened here, but we're not immune to it. So what did we talk about? Was in and around just the girls. If you're hopping on public transport, try to have themselves positioned so that their back is to a wall where they are, so that they can preferably see. It's not always possible, but try to. If they're sitting on a bus, sometimes, if you can, try not to have too many people sitting behind you. Why do I share that? It's probably just still more so part of my own habits and paranoia, and maybe it's too OTT or over the top, but I still, and I think I did a video on this before when somebody had asked, there were a few people asking about some of the stuff that I do, or how do you take the edge off? And I've said I don't think there's anything wrong with keeping an edge on as best you can. I still do a lot of that stuff today. Going into a cafe, I want to see the entry and exit points, and I want to see if there's a place to move my family or people if I need to, and or myself if I have to a place of safety if the occasion calls for it, or the incident calls for it. So yeah, talked about that stuff. If the girls can't, then sometimes in the buses, at least here in New Zealand, some of the buses have the seats on the side, so you're facing inwards rather than just stacked up one behind the other like you saw in that video footage. If they can't get to a back so they can have their back to the wall, etc., then try to sit where you can still see in front and left and right of you. Just little things. I mean, your EDC, your pistol or your knife or whatever, for those that carry stuff, and I haven't got into doing some of the EDC stuff yet, but for me, EDC and everyday carry is going to be, my take is going to be yourself first and foremost. But the young lady that got stabbed in a cowardly attack from behind with her headphones in, minding her own business, looking at her phone, like, I don't care what everyday carry weapon equipment you have on you, you've got very little to no chance. I mean, if somebody did have a weapon and they were still conscious, and then maybe they have enough time to draw and then look to do something about it, that person individually, too many what ifs and hypotheticals. But man, your EDC and best bet is to invest in yourself, has been my experience and my take, first and foremost. And rather than worrying about carrying and taking weapons, here in New Zealand and Australia, we've got very different EDC, weapon concealed carries and all that sort of stuff laws anyway. We're not allowed to do that, not unless you're some sort of law enforcement person, I would imagine. So very different here. Super tragic and sad. People, just a reminder for all of us, myself included, spend time with those that we love, remind them about being aware of their surroundings and their situation, give any tips that you can to help them to improve their chances of not having something like that happen. It could happen to any one of us, you, me, people that we care about, people that we love. It could happen to a stranger when we're in the vicinity one day. And I'd like to think first that I would look to try to do something if I'm witnessing something, and or that anybody in our communities would look to try to do something, even if it was just to ask that young lady if she was all right in a shorter period of time after the guy got up and then walked wherever it was that he walked to. People just sat there and did nothing. And that's really hard to watch and understand or try to make sense of. Sorry, there's some comments in that on here which I didn't get to. I've missed some. Oh, Scott and Charles, weak, disgusting people. Yep, agreed, bro. People's hearts are hardening and love is growing cold. End times, if you ask me. Thanks for your comments, bro. Heavy stuff, eh? Connor M. Kia ora, Joe. Random question. Ever heard of any Aussies coming over and doing NZSA selection? No, I haven't. To that question, there may be, without giving away any, too many details. There may be some, maybe in the near future, maybe within the next 12 to 24 months. So that could happen. But I haven't, not in my time. I don't know of any that have come over and done that. James Gregg, at tonight's service in our CBD space, a bloke who came for feed sat down and his knife that was in his jeans fell out. 6-inch blade, 6-foot man. We noted his face as he's new to the street crowd. Yeah, I'll tell you, man, it can happen anywhere. I don't care where you're from, where you live, small town, big town, peaceful suburban area. Bad stuff can happen anywhere. I think we all understand that anyway. But man, concerning, bro, James, that you fellas saw that. Could be any number. It could be for his own feeling like he needs some sort of self-defense because he's up in Auckland and South Auckland in your area, bro. Might be a bit hearty and a bit suspect. Maybe that's why. Who knows, eh? I don't pretend to know why this guy, 6 foot, is carrying a blade around. But for all of us, myself included, to just try to be careful and mindful of our surroundings. Wilson 93, not sure I'd respond, and closed on the bus with the perp still knife in hand, and you've just witnessed a murder. My own safety and the welfare of my kids at home, if I stepped in unarmed, would. Yeah, appreciate you, bro. Respect to you and your decisions, and your rationale. Hey, like, again, and I probably should have mentioned that some of the people that were on there that were close by may have had the exact same thoughts. Unsure. Maybe they looked at her when they saw that she was still conscious and eyes open and looking up. Maybe they thought, she was all right. From the video clip, you couldn't see blood spurting anywhere initially or at all. I didn't see any. If there was, I just saw the blood trails from when he got up and walked in, what looked like blood drops that must have come off whatever it was that he had stabbed her with on the floor, and then you see the blood coming after. So yeah, everybody's going to have their own thoughts go through just like that. I don't pretend to have all the answers. So yeah, appreciate you, bro. Wilson, thanks for sharing that. Scott and Charles, happens a lot in Israel. Jason C, great info to be passing on. Yeah, I don't know about that. I hope so. It's something anyway, even if it's just a reminder for us to be mindful of our surroundings and just trying to be situationally aware. It's sad. Scott and Charles, same, Joe. I teach my kids that too. Yeah, awesome, bro. Awesome. Roger, situational awareness is such an important thing to teach your kids. Yeah. And it's as tragic and as sad as it is, myself included, these reminders come and blink and punch us in the nose when we least expect it. And then I connect the dots back to some other conversations that my wife and I have had with our children, or that we've had with our children. It's, super sad, man. I don't know what else to say about that, other than just acknowledging the comments and the thoughts. Each of us will have our own comments and thoughts, in and around what, hopefully none of us ever see it in our time, but that we prepare as well as we can in case something does, and that whatever we feel we need to do in that moment, that we act in accordance with what makes us feel comfortable and able to live with ourselves, or, sleep at night, whatever you want to call it. There was a comment around everyday carry stuff, questions that have been asked. I haven't got into that yet. I've just been caught up with a few things. But yeah, my primary is investing in myself first, and how and where I position myself, and trying to be as situationally aware as I can to, try to anticipate. Some people might think, and I have had people say this to me before, they're like, oh man, that's a bit of a morbid way to go around and look at things and look at life. I don't see it that way. But yeah, everybody's different. I'm not walking around constantly like on edge, that person's a threat, and eyeballing everybody. I like to just try to be as comfortable and as relaxed and as normal as I can when I'm out and about in public. But still, I just have a habit of trying to be aware of my surroundings and position myself. That's going to give me at least either cover or protection, and or put me in a better position to have a little bit more time to be able to react and respond if I need to. That's just, yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think some of that, people have asked me, why is that? I think a lot of that may have stemmed more so from when I moved into the private security space. Because in that job, and the team that I was a part of, our responsibility was to look after the clients, the people that were there to do their job. And it didn't help that they were television media, because once they hop out and they're setting up tripods, or they're pulling out the camera, and then they're going into, and you've got a sound man holding the microphone and all the other stuff, then the correspondent comes out and then they're talking in front of the camera. I couldn't help but find myself probably being a lot more hyper vigilant in those situations. And yeah, eyeballing everybody and looking at everybody that's stopping and staring or driving past or walking past, and they're probably 99 point whatever % of them are just innocent everyday people going by. But yeah, I think for me it probably has just stemmed from that, and I've just held on to that. I've held on to that mindset. I've held on to trying to be more aware. There's been times when my teammates and I have had to decline those clients, like, no, you're not doing a stand-up in this area. It doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. Would anything have happened if we had have got out? I don't know, because we made a decision and we made a call on the spot to not get out and do the stand-up with them. Then we told them, no, we're going back to the bureau. We're going to wait. We'll go to another area. We'll reassess things, have a look. Or sometimes we stayed mobile and we looped back around, and then might have done it not quite in that exact same spot, but a little bit further down, or stayed mobile and went to a completely different area. So in response to those that have asked that question, where'd my paranoia come from? I think it probably largely more so from that private security space, because in my time as a soldier, we weren't necessarily going out doing CPP type or close personal protection tasks with people, or I wasn't anyway. It was more with your team going out and doing tasks that you get the intelligence briefings on. So yeah, I think that's probably where it's come from, and I've just held on to it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And everybody will have their own take on what they like to do and how they choose to move around in this world. And I'm just grateful that that's, I think, a large part of who I am and what I try to do when I'm moving around. Not trying to be a ninja when I'm moving around, just trying to position myself, as I mentioned. Can I give myself a bit more reaction time, even when I'm driving? I'm not the want to be right up the back of somebody's backside in the vehicle. Can I give myself some standoff, still checking the mirrors in case somebody's not paying attention or somebody looks like they're coming up too fast and hard behind me? Can I give myself a little bit of breathing space left or right to hopefully step on the gas and get out of a gap or whatever if I need to? So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Roger, too many completely switched off on phones, etc. Yeah, that was one of the things I spoke about with our kids. So many kids here in UK carry knives these days, worrying times. Yeah, I have seen some of that footage and the concerns with the machetes and stuff in the UK and knives in general. Yeah, really sad, worrying times, all right. But yeah, to your point, one of my daughters, who's 18, got a phone. She's constantly like this, so I had a good one-to-one with her today and conversation and around that. And sadly, we went through, I could see and hear in her voice how sad she felt to see that in the video clip of what happened. But, as hard as it is to share something like that, I think, anyway, as a dad, that it's part of the responsibility to, try and prepare our kids as well as we can. And sadly, the young lady that lost her life, who shouldn't have lost her life but has, hopefully people can learn from that. Not that she did anything wrong. I'm not trying to say that she did anything wrong, because she didn't. She's minding her own business. She did absolutely nothing wrong. Some dickhead decided to take her life. But hopefully myself, others can hopefully learn from that and just try to have a reminder and be a little bit more aware of where we are. Anyway, I'm going to leave that one there. Sorry. Do you do any hunting, bro? You would be a machine around the... yeah. I'd like to get out in the hills. I haven't done any. So to your question, hunting, there's a couple of people, though, that it just hasn't worked out yet with the timing to go out and do some hunting. They are hunters. So I said, bro, even if I come out and if I have to carry it, like, and I can learn from them, maybe I can share some insights in terms of some tracking stuff. Maybe in terms of fieldcraft and tracking, bits and pieces might be helpful. But as far as going out hunting and all that sort of stuff, I'm no expert in that. But I'd love to go out with people that have got that experience and skill and learn from them. So that is on the cards and on the books as far as this channel stuff goes anyway. Thanks for the question, bro. But yeah, hopefully that answers that question. Moving on from the sadness of the Ukrainian woman that lost her life. Man, 3 in a row there. Tom Phillips, Charlie Kirk, Ukrainian woman. Sorry, I don't know her name. I mean no disrespect referring to her as the Ukrainian woman. I just don't know her name, and I haven't looked to try to find her name. I probably wouldn't be able to pronounce it anyway, so I would probably butcher it if I was to try to pronounce her name. Moving on to before the other, is the boxing. So I think I mentioned that the rugby on the weekend. I wanted the Wallabies to win. They lost. Congrats to Argentina. I wanted the Warriors to win. They lost. Congrats to the Penrith Panthers. All Blacks. Yep, enough about that. The Black Ferns, huge congratulations. I was stoked to see their win. And against, I didn't even realise until I saw the highlights that they were playing the South African women's team. So yeah, they get to live another week and survive and go through to the next round. I think the semis, maybe. So we'll see what happens there. And then the boxing. So I watched that on the Netflix. That was awesome. I've been a huge fan of Terence Crawford's for a long time. I think back when and I say back when, I'm not a boxing expert or anything, but I think when he was fighting the Aussie guy, might have been Jeff Horn, a guy who, it seems controversially defeated Manny Pacquiao. maybe because I just was biased towards and really like Manny Pacquiao. Who knows? But Jeff won that fight against Manny Pacquiao, and then probably from around that time, and then I started going back down a bit of a Terence Crawford rabbit hole and started watching a whole bunch of his other fights, listening to how he speaks, and man, I was just like, this guy is awesome. Some of his history, being shot in the head and driving himself to the hospital after a dice game or whatever. So man, he's been through some stuff, and then just hearing the way that he speaks, the confidence that he has, but still the humility. Like, it doesn't seem to trash talk. He'll back himself if somebody says anything, towards him. He'll respond as you do, I suppose. But it just it just seems like he's flying under the radar for such a long time. His skill, his movement, his speed, they call it ring IQ. Just his ability to do what he's done in his career, jumping up. They say 2 weight classes, but then I hear people going, more technically, probably more like 3 weight classes, from in pounds 140 to 147. Then he did one at 154 pounds, skipped 160 and jumped straight to Canelo's 168. Didn't ask for he knew that he was the B-side, from what I've heard and the narratives that I've heard. Didn't ask for any weight restrictions, didn't ask for a catch weight, didn't ask Canelo to come down so that they could sort of meet somewhere in the middle. He just stacked everything, from what I could tell and what I heard anyway, stacked everything from an administrative, physical perspective in Canelo's favor. Canelo's been dominating, and he's an awesome champion. He's been dominating that weight division, that class, for however long, been dominating boxing for however long, until he hit I guess a bit of a speed bump, some people might call it, when he went to fight Bivol, Dimitri Bivol, I think, man, that guy's an awesome boxer too. Again, I'm no expert on boxing, but I do enjoy watching combat sports. So that might have seemed a bit of a speed bump, but he still handled himself well. So never been dropped. Awesome champion. But to see Terence do that, didn't ask for a rehydration clause or anything, or any weight restrictions post the weigh-in, which might have could have potentially kept Canelo drained slightly. He just, whatever Canelo wanted, it seems like, from what I've heard, he agreed to it. And far out, all the a lot of the naysayers and stuff, it was always interesting, because I was just like, man, I hope Bud wins. But it looked like it's going to be a mission against somebody like Canelo, and the reputation and the resume of the fighters that he's beaten. But man, some of the comments there were saying that Canelo, it would probably just be like a sparring session for Canelo after the first 4 to 6 rounds, once he figured out Terence Crawford's movement, his timing, his speed, and gets a taste of what his power was like on his punches, that it would probably just be a standard sparring session and a dominant performance by Canelo. But yeah, man, if it looked like a sparring session, and if it looked easy, it just, in my non-professional boxing opinion, it looked like Terence Crawford was the one, making it look easy out there. And just reminded me, again, I liked Errol Spence as well. I liked both those fighters. So when I saw that they were both going to be fighting, I still wanted Terence to win. And even then, he made that fight look, I know he probably wouldn't say easy, but for somebody the non-boxing IQ of somebody like me looking at that, it looked like he made it look easy in that fight against Spence. And then this fight against Canelo, yeah, man, he outstood his ground when he felt he wanted to, got off the better shots, got off the obviously hit Canelo more times than Canelo hit him on the points side of things, the unanimous decision as well, because there was always I had some concerns or worries about that, would it be put in Canelo's favor if it went down to the wire, or even if it just went to a decision, even if it was as clear as it looked that Terence Crawford won that fight, to me anyway, would it still be given to Canelo, or would it be made a draw? So yeah, I was holding my breath right up until the decision was made. The Omaha, Nebraska native, and yeah, it was awesome. So I was stoked about that. And people asked my thoughts around that, but I was probably going to share them anyway, so I thought I'd just chuck it in on this one. I think switched off. Crawford humbled Canelo. Bivol took his soul. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, man, Bivol looked phenomenal in that fight against Canelo. Massive respect to Canelo jumping up. Last thoughts from me on Bud Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, their fight. Massive respect to Canelo. Just listening to him, there might have been a bit of trash talking and stuff at the start, which I suppose is probably part of the hype, to hype up the fight, to get more numbers, to make more money. Hey, cool. Because I think there's video footage of Canelo saying, name one person, name one elite fighter on his resume that he's beat or whatever. So there was that banter or whatever. But hearing Canelo speak so respectfully and humble in his defeat to Terence Crawford, acknowledging that he's a great fighter, acknowledging that he was that he was better, that he was frustrating him, etc., was pretty cool to see and hear. I'm just glad that both of those guys, their health seems to be well. They get to go back to their families and their children, and enjoy the hard-earned money that they prepared for, then fought, and then they get to enjoy with their families. But same with his words and that as well. Shutting up the naysayers and the doubters. I saw him in his post-fight press conference giving the finger to one of the journalists, obviously one of the doubters of his side. But that must feel so good and satisfying for him. And it looked like it did anyway. Big smile on his face when he's, just giving the "I told you so" without needing to say "I told you so" to whoever that reporter was. But not only to that reporter, a heck of a lot of other people. So massive respect to those two guys. Hopefully, don't know what's on the cards for Terence, other than hopefully just enjoying his time off and his family. And then I hope he makes a call whenever he's ready. I hope he makes a massive amount of money in terms of his next fight, and then hopefully he retires undefeated, or does whatever he decides to do. Man, he's I suppose in boxing years, maybe, or age-wise, I think he's 38, 37, 38. Maybe he's turning 39, I'm not sure, or he's turning 38, one of those, 37, 38, 39, somewhere in there. So it's not I suppose what people call a spring chicken, but probably just all a matter of what you think up here, eh? So he's clearly just levels above everybody else. 3-time undisputed. Wow, it's got all the bouts in 3 separate weight divisions, and first time it's ever been done. Crazy. So yes, I was stoked for him. Truth be told, I did put a little wager on that, and I won. So I didn't put anything massive on there. Just looking and getting the side eye because I didn't tell anybody until just now. I blurted it out, and the boss is looking on the side. But I put a $80 bet on, and won 190 something. So I was stoked about that. My first time putting a bet on a boxing fight or on any sporting event. Probably the only other thing I've done is played lotto. So, and lost. But first time putting a bet on there, I felt confident that Bud would win. Plus I wanted him to win. So I thought, I'm going to put $80 on it. And I did, and ended up winning that. So I was happy about that. I can't believe Bud is 37. Thank you for that, Solly. 37. Huge fan of Crawford and Canelo. Really technical, is from Rob. And good fight to watch. Crawford's mindset is inspiring, and like you, I've watched loads of stuff around him, his training mindset, etc. Yeah, that's the one. I didn't mention that. His mindset is awesome, man. Family man as well, and just how he carries himself. Hope Usyk gives Parker a chance. Yeah, would be awesome to see an Oceania win the undisputed title. What happened to Usyk? Did he injure his hand KOing Dubois? I don't know. He seems to have power, but looks reluctant to finish off opponents. Brittle hands, question mark. I don't know. I don't know, man, in terms of Usyk. But yeah, that guy's phenomenal athlete as well, eh? That's that for the boxing. The other stuff that came up, one of the ones, I'll jump to that first. I don't think I had it down first. I had something else, but I'll jump to that first, is in and around the reckoning. How long has this been? Oh, nearly an hour. Man, time is flying by. Anyway, I didn't have a timing for this anyway. If there's nobody here, I'll probably just talk to myself and just and then just finish off what I've got. The reckoning, so the scaled selection, essay selection experience that people have wanted to do. So there's been 2 people that have filled out, completed steps 1, 2, and 3. So they've sent the email with their name, age, occupation, why they want to do it. They've then done step 2. They've completed the medical questionnaire form, sent that back. They've completed and signed the waiver and assumption of risk. Shout out to those 2. I don't know if they're on this live. Maybe they might see it later. I'm not sure. But those 2 have then said, yeah, I'm ready to send through the payment details when you're ready. I'm ready to make payment now. I'm not, I've gone back to them, but I thought I might have mentioned this in here. I'm not going to send the payment details. If I had 6 already ready to go, which is the minimum, 10 maximum, then I would send out the payment details, because then it would just give me more time to book ahead well in advance to get stuff sorted that I need to. But because I don't have 6 right now, I don't have the minimum. There's only 2, like I said, that have completed steps 1, 2, and 3. They are both ready to make the payment. I haven't sent them the payment details. I've just replied to them in the email, said, hey, thanks for that, appreciate it. I'll send you the payment details either closer to the cutoff date and or as soon as I have 6 minimum that want to participate. So, because otherwise there's not much point sending it. And if come time like a week out from the cutoff date, which is Monday, the 1st of December, if there's still not 6 people, well, then the event for the 24th of January is not going to go ahead. I'm not going to be trying to scramble last minute to sort stuff out. Like the selection courses, the 2 that I did in NZ and Australia, I think I've always mentioned this, they're 2 of the most well-run courses I've ever had the privilege of being a part of, and I don't want to run a shambolic experience, albeit a scaled version of a selection, and albeit only 30 hours as opposed to a full-length one. So, but there's still a heck of a lot of work that goes into that. People may not realize, but there's a lot of work that goes into just preparing, planning, coordinating, organizing something like that. So if I have 6 people prior to the 1st of December and they've completed steps 1, 2, and 3, then I'll gladly send them the details and make payment. But if we don't, there's no point me sending them payment details now, because if we don't reach that, then I'm going to have to refund that money, and I just can't be bothered going back in and then sending the money back after they've taken the time to work and save, I would imagine, and then transfer the money. So yeah, we'll see what happens on there. So that's the update on that. There's only 2 so far. 6 is the minimum. If we don't get that, then yeah, then it's not going ahead. Maybe I'll offer another one later. Like I said, there's planning for January and April next year in the first half of the year, and then there'll probably be another one, maybe 2 in the second half of the year next year. But that's that. The other one under other was around bloody hell. Has anybody seen anybody else? So I got sent this, but I also saw it pop up on my YouTube feed. The Hellfire missile or UFO hit by a Hellfire missile, and it keeps going. So this UFO or UAP, what is it? Unidentified anomalous phenomena, something like that. UAP/UFO. Anyway, stick with UFO. Aliens. Man, I watched some of that clip and I listened to some of the conversation. There's a guy, somebody Nap, a journalist, talking about it. There's a whole bunch of servers, all this sort of stuff's been happening for a while. I think the video footage that they showed was from October last year, somewhere in Yemen, and there's a drone tracking an orb, they described it as, hammering along off the Earth's surface, like hovering above or whatever, and that there's another drone somewhere off screen which you don't see. And then they talk about in the lead up to that it's then that orb is tracked, obviously locked on by the system from the drone, and they shoot a Hellfire missile at it, and it seems to sort of either bounce off or go straight through it, or the orb seems to bounce off and then just keep going. Some parts seem to break off or whatever, but I don't know. You don't see enough of the footage, and then it seems to the pieces that break off and the large part of it just seem to keep going. And I just and apparently there's lots of different types of things like this that have been happening around, and the officials in the American space government, Senate's, Congress, whatever it's referred to as, they don't get to see that stuff, or they're blocked from getting access to that information for whatever reason. And you're seeing the whistleblowers, whistleblowers, I don't say that disrespectfully, but people that have had the courage, I think, to come out and share or talk about what it is that they've seen at the risk of, losing their job and credibility and all sorts of things. But I just thought, if that was something from out of this galaxy, or not from our space here on Earth, our place, why are we shooting a missile at it? Like, it's surprising that our drones or whatever are able to track it in the first place. So that's cool. Clearly, if it is from outer space, there's some sort of technology which is far superior to anything that we've got. If they can come all the way here to little old Earth and then just be hammering along like nobody's business, would have thought maybe they can do it without being tracked. But who knows? Maybe they're just the advancements in our abilities, or the people that have that ability and the technical know-how to create things like this, including the drones and the tracking devices, is just, a lot better than we thought. But what what sort of greeting or welcome, what sort of porphyry is that, to use a term here in Aotearoa, New Zealand? What sort of welcoming is that to welcome to Earth? We're going to shoot a rocket at you, or a missile. It just seems nuts. I don't know, man. Since then, since starting on that little bit of a rabbit hole, seeing there's a whole bunch of other things like this. So I don't know whether it's clickbait or whatever, but I've seen some short clips and had a look at that. So people have asked for my thoughts on that particular event, and they sent me the link to that one that I just described with the, I think the heading was UFO hit by Hellfire missile and keeps going. That's the heading title of the video. So if you haven't seen it, type that in and then have a look at that, see what you think, and then listen to the conversations happening by those people in there. So yeah, crazy. I don't know. I don't think that's much of a welcome to Earth. And if they are from somewhere else, if it is from somewhere else, they're probably not going to be too happy. So anyway, last couple World War III preparations. Yeah, there's been a few. Mark Wales, ex-Australian SAS guys, done some good videos. There's another guy, Jake, obviously, who was running the conflict brief. He's had to step back from that. I think I haven't seen anything posted from him recently, but he put up a post saying that he needed to step back from some of the stuff that he's doing for whatever reasons that he has going on. But China's show of force with Russia and North Korea presidents in attendance. I don't know if there were other leaders that were there in attendance or supporters, but clearly America wasn't there, the UK wasn't there, Canada, Australia, little old New Zealand. Like there was only a handful of, I suppose you might call them superpowers: China, Russia, North Korea. I don't know if that's the right term, but far out, a show of force. The talks on stuff happening, claims to Taiwan, China's claims to Taiwan, the messaging going backwards and forwards between the East and the West, and just comments around which I mentioned earlier. People saying we're already in World War III. People just don't realize it with everything that's happening, positioning taking place in and around the globe right now. What I thought was, or what we might have thought being peacetime, I think my whole perspective of that shifted when I started watching Jake's stuff on the conflict brief, and just the humans' appetite for war and how we look to go about trying to settle things. What's this? It's probably, he seems, it's probably Skunk Works project. That or aliens don't have advanced warfighting abilities. Thanks, I like that. Jason C, just a drone, not enough contact to detonate Hellfire. Right, gotcha, Jason C. Cool. King Alexander, kia ora, bro. Love your channel. Proud to see by doing what you're doing. Keep it up, and thank you. God bless, and God is good. Oh, thank you, King Alexander. Kind words, bro. Appreciate that. There's some, I didn't put it on here, but just shout out to a fella named Jim who wrote a nice comment or message to me in the community post section. For whatever reason, I can't reply to them. I can only give it a thumbs up. Another guy over in Australia in Perth sent another sort of similar humbling kind message as well. But again, if you haven't seen me reply to it, it's because it doesn't let me. I can actually, funnily enough, if I click edit, it shows that I can edit your comment. I haven't done that, but I thought that was weird. I clicked on the thing to try to reply, but there doesn't seem to be a place for me to reply in there. But appreciate the kind words and the support. As for the World War III prep, yeah, man, like dodgy times ahead. It definitely feels uncertain in terms of what's going on in the world at the moment. You got Ukraine, Russia, you got Israel, Palestine, you got China and their desire to whatever it is. I don't know what you call it, invade Taiwan or reclaim Taiwan. You got Nepal, stuff happening over there in Nepal, the riots in Nepal, if people have seen that. I've been to Nepal, beautiful place, a few years ago when I was still living in Australia on an assignment, on a task. At that time, I was traveling around with Andrew Forrest and his wife and two of their children, and I had the privilege to look after them on their travels. They traveled around quite a few places, went into India, so stayed at the Taj Mahal, like places that I likely would never go in my life. But he was doing some important work there, which I won't talk about the work that he was doing, and he's probably still involved in. Then we traveled to Kathmandu, we traveled to Magnitogorsk in Russia, St. Petersburg, Copenhagen, Inverness in Scotland. It was eye-opening for me to see how hard that guy works and the hours that he does. I was struggling a couple of days to keep up with regards to just the tempo that he works at. Andrew Forrest, Twiggy Forrest, Fortescue Metals Group CEO, whatever. I'm not sure if he still is. I was like never good friends. I got asked if I wanted to do that job by a guy that was ex-Australian Regiment, a man that I respect, and he wasn't able to go on the job, and he asked me if I wanted to do it. And so I had done some private security stuff prior to that, and then I put up my hand. I had a meeting, and then it was a bit of a panel, actually. Diverting off topic here from the World War III stuff. Probably a better way to wrap it up anyway than talking about bloody World War III and who knows what's going to happen. But panel. They asked me some questions. I answered them, and then I got the nod to then travel around. But coming back to his work ethic, man, there's some long days and long nights, and just very, very early starts. Considering there's some days it's like, man, he's been up for ages. He's been here, there, and everywhere. Been involved in all these meetings, done this, done that. Talking with what do they call them? Oligarchs in Russia, like billionaires, people of the same level of him anyway. Having these conversations. I wasn't sitting in on those meetings. They're outside of those those conversations that they're having. But holy heck, it was eye-opening, man, just to see how hard or how much work he puts in to what he does, and how he was still staying connected with his wife and his children. From what I saw, the two children that were there. Oh, actually, it was one of his children and a niece at the time. And then we met his second child, picked her up. She was a bit older, doing some work somewhere else. And so, then the client party grew to a bit bigger. But man, that's just a different world. I've never been involved in anything like that since. I don't imagine I'll be involved in anything like that again. But it was a cool experience. What we got? Nah, I don't think so. I won't worry about that one. There was a comment and messages that come through. Life on Mars. I don't know, man. Life on Mars, based on findings on a rock. What are my thoughts? I don't have any. Like, I'm on Earth. I couldn't really care less what's happening on Mars. So I'll leave that one there. What's this? Russia sharing experience or Chinese Korean officers fighting under Russian flag is terrifying. Yeah, bro. Russian warfighting is advancing at breakneck speed. They already found counters to NATO tactics, no doubt. Anzac US experience in the Middle East is totally useless against a more advanced, organized, trained army. Worse, the population had their fill of war and are unenthusiastic to fight. Yeah, possibly a lot of truth to that too, especially in the aftermath of the global war on terror and the toll that it's taken on a number of soldiers, not necessarily just physically but mentally. The fact that we've lost over 30,000 people to mental health, suicide as a result of global war on terror stuff, which is more than double or triple or whatever it is, the amount of lives lost. Don't get me wrong, it's tragic either way. It's just mind-blowing to me. And I didn't even know that until some people sent through some comments and some numbers, and I was like, holy heck. So, that enthusiasm may be way down. Who knows? Maybe morale's down, but I don't know. I think there's probably still plenty that are willing and really willing and able if the call is made. But again, hopefully our leaders can sort something out, but it doesn't look or sound that good, to be honest. Sorry, you got another one. Question: should NZ Australia for an SBS type unit that concentrates on maritime warfare, VBSS, mine warfare. Oh, man, I think there's a lot of value in having something like that. Yeah, I've been getting asked that question a fair bit. Are the commandos the equivalent of the UK SBS unit? So you know how the UK is 22 SAS, SBS. They've also got 2-1 and 2-3 reserve SAS units in the UK. I might be wrong on that one, but I think those are the numbers of these 2-1 and 2-3. But 2-2 is their regular force, full time, world renowned, the pioneers, founding fathers of SAS. So, no, the answer to the Australian commando one, they're not the same as the 2-2 SBS. Very different. Somebody asked me if they would be the equivalent to the British Royal Marine Commandos. I don't know enough about the British Royal Marine Commandos to know if the Australian commando unit would be the same. Sorry. I remember seeing SF instructors in Ukraine saying they had to dust off World War II manuals since counter-terror tactics didn't work in CQB against regulars. Well, yeah. There's a lot to be desired in regards, or not even, that's not the right word. There's nothing to be desired about war, but it'll be interesting times ahead, or we're in interesting times ahead to see what happens in the times that we're in now. So that's it. I managed to get through the stuff that I had on the list over an hour. Apologies, or thanks if you stuck around this long. Some heavy stuff, some sad stuff in that and there, but I realize it's only a small fraction of, there's likely there's a lot of heartache, hard times, sadness happening all around the place, not just in those things that I've spoken about here in this live. That was just an attempt to try to respond to some of the comments and questions and suggestions that people have reached out to me for, and just want to acknowledge and thank those people. Sorry I didn't do them in a separate individual video. Don't get me wrong, I did think about doing something like that, because then I could have things to put on the channel, but I'm not leaning into those just to put things on the channel. Like the stuff that I really enjoy doing, I've been enjoying doing the reactions. I'd love to do some interviews later on down the track, the time and place for that. Enjoying the training stuff and not having to post up every session, the morning and nighttime sessions. So that's been cool. I've just got so much time, so I'm able to get ahead on a lot of the reaction stuff and start looking at a few other things. I likely wouldn't have even bothered looking at or knowing about the Tom Phillips stuff, the Charlie Kirk stuff, the Ukrainian woman that lost her life, if I was still trying to show that process of the morning and nighttime sort of training stuff. That just chewed up so much time, and I didn't have a lot of time left over to do a reaction. So now I'm getting back into a space where I can have more time back. The next reckoning will be a heck of a lot even better, I think, with regards to what's in store. They're not always going to be identical, but the testing stuff will still be the same. But yeah, there's a lot of sadness happening around this place, on this, this ball floating around in the middle of the galaxy here somewhere on our space. And hopefully we as people can do better, no matter where we are, no matter where we come from. And maybe, hopefully, at least for me anyway, hopefully can take away some lessons and reminders from some of the sadness and tragedies that do have and will continue to happen around the place. So anyway, appreciate all of your time. Members, appreciate your time. Those that aren't members of the channel, appreciate your time. Oh, sorry. That's probably one more thing that I want to mention here. And I'll probably do a separate post and maybe a separate video for this, because I've just literally just remembered it now. I'm thinking about the memberships that have happened. I'm super, super grateful for those. I'm thinking about potentially just ending the memberships, just posting up the content on the channel for anyone and everyone that comes along, not having memberships, and those membership funds that have come in, and the ones for this month and last month, just donating that to either two charity, or not, I don't know if they're charities, but two things come to mind: either the Australian SASR Association and Trust, and the NZ Trust, or somewhere in the NZ military, what do you call it? Charity space. So just splitting the funds that have come through and then just sending that there. So be interested to hear people's thoughts. Why? Probably the main one is that, which is a little bit frustrating, and I'm just trying to streamline what it is that I do. Going in, so Tuesday, Thursday, there's always at least 2 posts there just on the public channel. Then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, members only videos. There's one of the options. See, I can't even remember now because I don't even go into the membership space a lot to have a look at the stuff in there. But I do know that there's stuff in there that I want to do and will likely still do, even if I don't have the memberships. And then upload another one for all members on a Saturday. So there's 3 there, depending on what level membership somebody takes or no membership. And it's just a bit of a hoo-ha to go in and then do that and then change it, make this members only, make this for all members or only these members from this point up. So that's what I'm thinking anyway. I will put something out about that tomorrow. I'll put something up in the members only post to get the members' thoughts because it impacts them. But I don't want members to think, oh, I've been paying this money for the last 3 months or 4 months, however long I've had the memberships going for, and nothing's happened with it. So if anything, if I can take that's come through and then just split that between 2 charities, I'm thinking 2 military charities just because of my bias towards NZ in Australia, the Defence Forces in general, and send those funds there, and then just cut off the memberships. But anyway, I'll put something out tomorrow, get a bit of an idea. Maybe I'll just do a separate live sometime tomorrow morning after training, and get a sense for what people, or maybe not a live, maybe I'll go to the members first, do the post, and then see what they have to say. Have a blessed day. You too, bro. Have a great day, everyone. Likewise. Thank you all for your time and support. As always, man, just in closing, regardless of whatever challenges and difficulties you might be going through, and regardless of the sadness that we may be seeing in and around the world, or even within your own families or within our own families, like as miserable and as terrible as some of that stuff is, and as hard as it can be to navigate, I know that things can do and will get better. So just keep turning up, keep staying in the fight. You put one foot in front of the other, drag yourself along if you have to, crawl if you have to, but try to keep moving. Things will get better. The sun will shine again. There are better days ahead. I know that's the case, even though we all at times can be and are in some pretty miserable and dark spaces. So just stick at it as best you can, is my message for anybody that's struggling or really hurting at this time. Just try to find a way to keep going. There are people that need you. There are people that still need your presence, want to hear your voice, want to learn from your examples and see you. So yeah, just stick at it, stay at it. As always, go always a little further. Remember, who dares wins and who cares wins. And until the next video, there's a big mana wave coming from me to you, filled with my aroha, respect, appreciation, and gratitude for you all. Oh, my wife is doing the mana wave over there as well on the side. All right. So where's the stop? End stream. Thanks, everybody. Oh, sorry, hang on. Thanks for the stream. You're welcome, Jason C. John Smith, nice brother. God bless. Likewise, Scott and Charles. Cheers, Joe. Onward, brother. End stream. Your stream will say yes, end.